I've always believed the land talks to you, if you slow down long enough to listen. Some mornings it murmurs in the soft rustle of grass or the nickering of horses at dawn. Other days, the earth groans under the sun. But on that particular morning out on Silver Ridge Ranch, the land didn't whisper. It screamed. I was riding my mare Molly near the Southern Canyon Ridge, about 2 miles from the main house. 3 nights of hard rain had beaten the land raw, so I was checking the fence lines. Molly was tense, ears pricked forward. At first I assumed it was a coyote, but then I saw it. A long, clean scar across the dirt. Not natural, not animal-made. A straight, deliberate trench, about 30 yards long, vanishing into a dry wash. I knelt and ran the loose gravel through my fingers. Fresh fill, wrong soil type. Someone had dug a trench using machinery, and they hadn't bothered to hide the signs well, at least not from someone who'd spent 20 years designing water systems for the Army. I launched my drone the moment I got back to the house. From above, the truth unfolded like a slap. A narrow pipeline trench snaking through the canyon floor, zigzagging across my land before disappearing toward the south, toward Canyon Crest Estates, the HOA community 5 miles downslope. 2 days later, I got their letter. Stamped formal, smug. A non-invasive utility line has been installed through an undeveloped portion of your land. Please refrain from interference. No phone call. No request. Not even a fake apology. They weren't asking. They were informing me. My father, Robert Barrett, fought the county for years to secure the artesian well beneath our ranch, drilled in 1973, legally protected and crystal pure. It was his pride, our lifeline. And now some HOA thought they could run a pipeline through my ranch, as if it were a community walkway. They'd made a mistake. I took the trench photos, my deed, the well rights, and marched into the county office. The clerk, a kid named Dylan, pulled up the digital parcel map, last updated sometime during the Reagan administration. According to their outdated maps, the trench ran through municipal land. Except that municipal land had been part of Silver Ridge Ranch since 1987. Oh, and this, I asked, pointing at the permit. A signature claiming to be mine. Forged. The clerk swallowed. You can file a complaint, but unless you can prove material damage, our hands are tied. Of course, bureaucracy always protects the wrong people. That night I spread every paper my dad ever saved across my dining table. Old surveys, new surveys, water rights documents, historical maps. My father kept records like they were treasure. And now they were ammunition. I scanned everything and sent it to my attorney, Rachel Moore, a retired water rights bulldog. Her response came in 15 minutes. This is fraud. Don't contact the HOA. Document everything. So I went back out. I cut into the trench. 2 feet down, I found what I expected. White PVC stamped with a contracting company's logo. They hadn't even tried to be discreet. I followed the trench path on foot until it curved toward the HOA's property line. I couldn't see where it ended, but I knew what they were doing. They were trying to tap into my water for their shiny new community. That night, I filed county fraud notices and sent evidence to the state water authority. That's when my phone rang. A smooth voice. Practiced, condescending. Hello, Mr. Barrett. This is Heather Collins, president of the Canyon Crest HOA. Perfect, the queen herself. She tried to play it off as a regional infrastructure improvement. I interrupted her. You forged my signature. Silence, then a stiff exhale. The pipeline does not interfere with your property in any meaningful way, she said, annoyed that I wasn't rolling over. Your land was simply the most logical route. Logical because it was free, I replied. We can't remove it, she snapped. The infrastructure is already in place. Then dig it back out. If you interfere, she warned, we'll pursue legal action. I hung up on her. Phase 2, the real theft begins. I installed sensors and a flow meter on my well line. If the HOA tapped my water, I'd know. Late Thursday night, the meter spiked. My water was moving. Not runoff. Not groundwater seep. They were pumping water directly from my artesian well. I collected a sample and ran a mineral profile in my workshop. Identical signature, calcium, dolomite, trace elements, the unique fingerprint of Silver Ridge Basin water. They were stealing from me. When I told Rachel, she nearly shouted through the phone. That's theft of a protected source. Keep documenting, don't touch the pipe yet. Then the retaliation began. One of my pastures burned yellow overnight, chemical burn, not drought. My horse Dusty stepped into a soft collapse caused by the trench and went lame for days. Anonymous letters arrived calling my well environmentally harmful. Someone filed a complaint with the county claiming my water should be reallocated. But the thing that froze my blood was their investor packet. A glossy brochure titled, Future Municipal Water Allocation Access, Phase I Investment Opportunity. They promised investors water access from my well, using forged documents. That's when I shifted gear from defensive to offensive. Phase 3, find the source, own the source. I remembered something my dad said once while fixing pipes. Our well isn't the start of the water. The spring comes from up in the old hills, where the mine used to be. I drove north into the hills before sunrise, past rusted machinery and a half-collapsed mining gate. Eventually, I found it. A small spring bubbling from the rock, framed in old concrete. A brass plate read, Eagle Rock Mining Company, Water Survey 1948. This was the origin of the entire aquifer. Back home, I dug through county records. After hours of searching, I found him. Frank Dawson, age 92, last known in Flagstaff, the man who still owned the original water patent. I sent him photos and a letter. A week later, he called. You actually want the spring? He asked. Damn right, I said. We settled on $42,000. Rachel handled the transfer. I now owned Eagle Spring, the upstream source feeding my well, and the pipeline the HOA illegally tapped. Phase 4, turning off the water. Under state law, a private water rights holder can restrict flow to prevent unlawful use. So I filed the paperwork. I locked the spring with a steel gate posted, Private water resource, no entry. And I shut the valve. By the next morning, Canyon Crest had no water. And like clockwork, Heather Collins rolled up my driveway in her white Lexus. You shut off the water, she accused. You forged my signature, I replied. A sheriff cruiser pulled up moments later. Deputy Cole Harris stepped out. The HOA had called him. Reporting critical infrastructure interference. Perfect. I handed him a folder of documents. My deed to Eagle Spring, water board filings, the forged permits, the contractor affidavit. Harris let out a low whistle. Ma'am, he said, turning to Heather, this shows Mr. Barrett owns the source you've been pulling from. That's not admissible, she snapped. It absolutely is. He turned to me. You pressing charges? Not yet, I said, but note that they continued illegal extraction after being notified. Heather's face twisted with panic. This isn't over, she hissed. It was over, I told her. The moment you touched what wasn't yours. Phase 5, the trap. Someone anonymously forwarded Rachel internal HOA documents. The HOA had raised over $1.08 from investors, promising them access to water they never owned. Time for one last move. I hired a small crew and dug a fake pipeline, a dummy line parallel to the real one, heading nowhere. I added a fake valve with blinking LEDs. Within days, my cameras caught HOA contractors tapping into the fake pipe. They thought they'd found my new water route. They dug. They connected. They stole nothing. 2 days later, I invited the local news to the canyon. On camera, I unscrewed the dummy valve. A pathetic trickle of rusty runoff dripped out. This, I told them, is what the HOA trespassed to steal, a fake line I buried to see if they'd try again. The story aired that night. HOA caught tapping dummy water line in ranch dispute. The internet roasted them, investors panicked, lawsuits followed, the state attorney general stepped in. Within weeks, Canyon Crest HOA was suspended. Heather Collins was charged with fraud, forgery, and theft of protected resources. And me. I won. The court awarded me the water station they had illegally built. I turned it into something new. The Museum of Unauthorized Infrastructure. A small sign now stands at the edge of my ranch. Unauthorized Infrastructure Museum, tour available. Inside the old HOA water station are laminated displays. The forged permit. A cross-section of the dummy pipe. The news headline. A map labeled, "Ask first, dig never." People laugh. Some cringe. A few Canyon Crest residents buy bottled water from me as a joke. Life has gone quiet again. The horses graze. The spring flows. The land speaks softly. And somewhere out there, someone might be eyeing another man's land, thinking they can cut a corner. Maybe they'll hesitate. If not, well, I still have extra PVC in the shed.